good, fam? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Good to see you on today. I missed y'all so much. Oh my gosh, I missed y'all so much. So, welcome back. And I am so grateful to be back. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for Tuesdays with Tawana, where we build community one womanist episode at a time. I am just so grateful to be here, so grateful to be back, so grateful to be well, so grateful to just share this space with you. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you are a ride or die, I love you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Bishop in the building, Dwayne Taylor. God bless you too, beloved. It is really so good to see you. So good to see you. As you can see, I'm kind of in a different background. I'm in transition, always moving and shaking and stuff. So, it's not about the background. It's about our conversation, about our dialogue, about building community, one womanist episode at a time. Mother Carolyn is in the building. I am so grateful as always. My mother, my mentor, my friend, my confidant. Yeah, good to see you, Mother Carolyn. So it's been a minute. I decided to to take a break, rest. Our Bishop Trisha Hersey is one who is revolutionary in her work around rest is resistance. And in order for me to do what I do, not only for myself, but for community, I must rest. We must rest. Our communities must rest. We must take that time to rest so that we can reclaim and readjust and to revive and to be, get our creative juices flowing and just doing the things that we do, that we are called to do. And without rest, our brain cells are fatigued, our body is fatigued. We can't do the things that we are called to do and to offer to ourselves, to community, and to this world. So with that, hey Pammy, I missed you too. Yes. Thank you. I am glad I took some time for myself, and I hope I share this because I'm hoping that I can lead by example, because I've been hearing a lot, people are fatigued, people are tired. Was having a conversation with someone the other day, and how we came out of COVID, the pandemic. COVID is still here, but we didn't deal with the emotional and spiritual and physical ramifications and the outcomes of COVID, and folk are really just doing things that are just antithetical to life. I'm being very careful about my language. Yes, say that. Even Jesus took time to rest. So we must. And we didn't do that. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, organizations and corporations were like, okay, let's get back into the building. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. Let's do that. And without even taking into consideration, my well-being or childcare or readjusting. Our young people are unfortunately dealing with a lot of challenges when it comes to schoolwork and readjusting. First we're online, then we're in person, and then teachers are not, some are doing above and beyond, others aren't doing enough because of, and no pointing fingers and blame, because of things that are going on that are unaddressed. right? So we must address those things. And in addressing those things, we must name those things and name those challenges that are happening. So, because we got to face it to fix it, from a traditional Christian standpoint, Jesus was always naming something, naming the disease, naming your healing, naming your power, naming who you are and your humanity against the status quo that was demeaning and degrading women, naming things in order for us to face it, to fix it. So for today, we're going to talk about the term affirmative. Full stop. Affirmative. So feel free to pop in the chat what you believe affirmative is. What is your definition of affirmative? Just affirmative. I know we're so tempted. I'm tempted. Let me speak for me. I'm tempted to talk about this affirmative action and the removal of affirmative action in our colleges and universities, which then is going to have an adverse effect now and 3 to 5 years from now, when we don't have enough Black folk, people of color, in positions where we need them to be, like teachers, doctors, lawyers, politicians, caregiver, all of those things that require some training at a higher level of education. We are going to end up losing out on that. We may not see it now, but even with affirmative action, we had those challenges, right? So what does, the term affirmative mean for you? Sup, niece? What's going on, my beautiful Tammy? Tanisha, yes, I'm back and my world is better because you're here. How about that? Jan, what's good, Queen? I'm grateful to be back in the building. This is my community. This is my beloved village, and I am so grateful. So today I decided to come back and talk about affirmative, but I also want to talk about my affirmative affirmative as it relates to my health and my well-being. So when we talk about affirmative, Pammy said it's supporting. It's naming something that is your. These are just my words. I'm not looking it up. I don't want to know what a dictionary tells me about affirmative. I want to hear from our beloveds what affirmative means to you. And affirmative, or affirming, right, is supporting, agreeing, advocating, um, uh, doing activist work for humanity. It's affirming who you are. It's affirming how we show up in the world. It is claiming how we show up in the world. It is defining how we show up in the world or in spaces and places. It is affirming is agreeing, taking some action that agrees with a particular stance. I affirm, the right to equitable education or equitable health care. I that is my affirmative thought, my affirmative belief, where I am affirming who you are. I am affirming what is going on that is adding value to humanity. I am affirming us as human beings, as those that deserve to be treated as human beings, as divine human beings, as powerful, beautiful, co-creative, mystical, magical, spiritual human beings. Bishop says, please get in touch with me. Oh, okay, definitely. Oh, definitely. Thank you, Bishop. I will definitely do that. Thank you. So, affirmative. So, in my journey, many of you have been journeying with me for the last 6 years, 6+ years. It'll be 7 years in November that I have been surviving and thriving HER2 positive metastatic breast cancer. And I affirm my healing. I affirm my well-being. I affirm that I am not my diagnosis, that I am. I am a spiritual being clothed in this physical space, who moves in this world in a way that is not just for me. I affirm myself as I affirm others and their well-being and humanity. So when we talk about affirming, right now I'm going through a bit of some health challenges, which it's not just because I have metastatic breast cancer. What I do want to honor and acknowledge, whether you are a domestic violence survivor, you are dealing with moving toward mental health, if you have other type of debilitating diagnoses, what I am affirming today is that you have the power and the agency, and hopefully my hope for you is that you have the will to live the best life you can in the midst of your situation or circumstance. So I affirm my healing by going to the doctor, by following up with the doctor, by going to do procedures that might be scary for some, and for others, like for me, it was scary in the beginning. And then I said, you know what, Tawana, you got to take one moment at a time. You can't preempt the outcome. You can't try to figure this thing out when, we're all trying to figure this thing out together. So that affirmation, that affirming, comes from within, and it's not easy. I name this so that you can take away, what are you affirming in your world? Thank you for praying, Bishop, and thank you for my village for praying for me, because let me pause for a minute. So I experienced a horrible sharp pain on my left side, like by my rib cage, under my arm. And it wasn't just a periodic sharp pain. It was a steady sharp pain. This was a couple of weeks ago. So Tuesday, Wednesday, horrible pain. Called my folk. They called their prayer warriors. Thursday, I went to urgent care. By Friday, my pain was gone. By Friday, it was gone. And I am so grateful. I say this because I'm grateful for the energy that we continue to build, because this is about building community, one Womanist episode at a time, one story at a time, one moment at a time, one shared experience at a time. So I want to thank everybody for praying for me. I'm still in the midst of healing and still in the midst. I have a procedure on Friday that I must go to, and my faith and my village is keeping me grounded, keeping me hopeful, keeping me strong enough to do Tuesdays with Tawana and to build community. So I just wanted to pause and say thank you. So back to affirmative. Jan says, for me, affirmative means to be in total alignment for any one thing. Jan, that's it. That did it for me. To be in total alignment. And if I may add, because there are some negative folk that are in alignment, we're talking about this positive, life-giving alignment, right? Total alignment for any one thing that gives life. If I may add that, Jan, it gives life. Because I'm sure there are some white supremacists, those who identify, those who are racist, they are in alignment. They just not in my type of life-giving alignment, including those who unfortunately voted to remove affirmative action from colleges and universities. And if we think it's going to stop there, let me tell you, it's not. This is only the beginning. It started, they have a plan, this master plan, right? So we must be in alignment with what are the life-giving forces that we can then enact and enable in our communities and societies, whether it's speaking truth to power, whether it's Black civic engagement, whether it's voting, whether it's building community, whether it's showing compassion, showing empathy, actively listening to someone, giving someone a hug, telling someone I'm grateful for you, saying thank you, being available, making the sacrifice. All of those things I would call in alignment with life-giving forces, which then affirms who we are as collective human beings. So with this, my health challenges, it's not the mind, right? It's the heart and the spirit that leads then and feeds the mind, because the mind is matter. And until you pump information into it, it's not going to be very useful. So if I then pump this information of love and healing, how I define it. Now, healing looks different. I remember, we've had this conversation about my mom. My mom died when I was 23 in 1993 of multiple myeloma. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and people, I'm assuming with good intention, would always say, well, you're going to be all right. You're going to survive. God has work for you to do. But then on the flip side of that, are you saying that God didn't have more work for my mom to do? So my mother's healing came differently. My dad's healing from a massive stroke in 2009, where he succumbed to the challenges, it showed up, it manifests differently. My healing is manifesting differently because I had a dear friend, same diagnosis. She was diagnosed maybe a couple of years before me, and she succumbed to the challenges of breast cancer, specifically HER2 positive metastatic breast cancer. So her healing came differently. My healing is different from somebody else who is able to work, travel, do whatever, be deemed cancer-free or no evidence of disease. That's their healing. And I dare not compare myself or ask others to compare their healing with mine, because it's going to look different. So I must affirm my own healing and lead by example, so that you can then define and name and affirm who you are and how you are healing and how you are showing up in the world and how you are responding to these ailments, whether they're personal ailments or systemic ills that are ailments. So giving you an opportunity, creating a sacred space, not waiting for someone else to create the sacred space for us, but for us to come together and to create this space, because we're not looking to anyone else for our liberation. We are looking to ourselves to be free from the ills of society, to be free, because I am quite sure that my breast cancer, I do not have a breast cancer gene. My one of my aunts on each one of my parents' side has had and have breast cancer. And but in the lineage and in the genetic testing, it doesn't really include aunts. It's the person, the parent, grandparents, so on and so forth. So there are environmental challenges, there are food challenges, there are stress challenges. There are all these things that play a part where doctors aren't even sure how and where breast cancer just comes and begins to live in one's body, because there are cancer cells, if you will, in everyone's body. So how does one body then keep it at bay, but another body, it becomes a challenge and begins to impact other healthy cells, and then you're diagnosed with cancer and so on and so forth. So the affirmation of healing comes from me affirming for the collective. Now we know, we say this all the time on this show with the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, my humanity is inextricably bound to yours. Ubuntu, I am because you are. So I share my story and share my challenges and share my successes and share my joy as an example for those to continue to live and not die at systemic ills. We're all going to die. None of us are immortal. But how we respond to that is the affirmative challenge for today. How do we affirm who we are and how we are worthy of living and not dying to systemic ills? How do we affirm that we are worthy of adequate health care and education and places to live, safe spaces and places to live? And thank you for the affirmation, Bishop and Mother Carolyn, all of the affirmations, the yes, the agreements, right? So my sister Tony says, my healing from cervical cancer came before diagnosis, and that's not everyone's story. Still a testament and my testimony, but also a battle with survivor's guilt is all relative. I'm blessed to have avoided treatment struggles, grace. So even survivor, thank you, Tony, for sharing and being so open and authentic on your journey of cervical cancer, where, yes, survivor's guilt is real. Like I told, my friend died of the same diagnosis I had. The difference was I was eligible, and I left this part out, I was eligible for a clinical trial in immunotherapy. And because I hit the cusp, right, of the age and the diagnosis and all the other parameters where you have to meet for a clinical trial, and she did not. She was older than I. So a part of me is angry because why? And I understand as a researcher, as a phenomenologist, I get it that your data, your subjects got to be within line so that the numbers come out as accurate as possible. Your results are as accurate as possible. So there is whether it's an age range or a particular demographic or a particular group, I get it. I do get it. And I'm still angry because my friend died because she didn't have access to this particular clinical trial and ended up succumbing to challenges of her breast cancer. And that's right, Bishop. Breast cancer is not limited to just women. And we've talked about that here on this show. Particularly when it comes to telling our stories, because for men, there is breast tissue in their chest. And, some people will call it chest cancer. No, there is tissue that is particularly designed, and the way it's designed, it's still breast tissue, and they have breast cancer, and we must be able to affirm that so that our Black men do not die prematurely because we are misnaming what it is that we are diagnosed with, and being able to tell our stories with a sense of strength, and I don't want to say pride, because there's nothing prideful about being diagnosed with cancer, but having that sense of strength and communal prowess to be able to tell our stories without being ashamed and without being, having the guilt or hiding our stories, because that's not well for us either. This is another reason why we do this communal effort, because when we share our stories, we also release so that things can be poured back into us for us to be able to be strengthened, to be healed, to be able to be compassionate and to learn about ourselves. If we let it go, if we hold on to those things, I can't even imagine not telling my story of several near-death experiences and bilateral mastectomies, and tried reconstruction twice, and almost bled out, and all of the different things that has happened to me, so that people understand that healing ain't easy. So if we're looking for this healing adage of skipping through the tulips, that might be for some, but for most of us, healing ain't easy. And I'll close with this. When we are healing, that means something went wrong, something went awry, something broke, something is harmful, something that we need to heal from doesn't feel so good. It causes us harm and pain and stress and the whole list of things. So we got to be able to name it, and naming it is not easy, because sometimes we begin to think, well, what could I have done differently? To my domestic violence survivors out there, it's not you, it's not your fault. And sometimes we're thinking, well, dag, if I had only cooked dinner, or if I had only not talked back. No, we gotta affirm, be in an affirmed stance of who we are as beautiful spiritual beings who have a communal prowess that surpasses what the world is trying to do to us. The world continues to take things away from us, and we will continue to come back and affirm that we are bigger, greater, and better, because our God, our Most High, is greater. Our Most High is a healer. Our Most High is a sustainer. And because I am created in the image and likeness, if you follow the Abrahamic traditions, great. If you meditate and you have other practices, they all tap into something outside of us and higher than us called love. So if I affirm that I love myself, and then I can teach others how to love me, we can then journey together in an affirmative stance of healing and moving forward and fighting against the status quo and the systemic ills that we have to deal with every day. So I affirm today that you are beautiful, and I see you, and you are magical. You are beyond description. You are beyond the status quo. You are more than this world is trying to give us and define us. You are amazing. And if you don't feel that way, take a moment to listen to these words and affirm for yourself who you are and whose you are, and how you show up in this world, authentically, unapologetically, no matter what you have been through. Let's use this as a Sankofa moment to take with us all that gives us life, and leave behind that which continues to hold us down, or feel guilty or shame, or that internalized shame. We are affirming today that we breathe new life every day when we get up and we are able to take a breath. Even if you have an apparatus to help you breathe, even if you might be vision impaired and you can't see the sunshine, you can envision it in your mind. That's how creative and beautiful you are. You can listen to the birds singing, and if you are hearing impaired, you can imagine what that's. We are amazing, creative, imaginative, Afrofuturistic, beautiful beloveds. And I affirm today that you are who you are because you were created to add value, not only for yourself, but to this community, to your family, and to this nation. So let us fight back this affirmative action and begin to be co-creators on how we can make sure that our beloveds are here serving their purpose and doing what it is that they are called to do. We're not waiting for somebody else to afford us liberation and education and healing and rest. We are going to define it for ourselves and move forward and continue to build community until we no longer have to deal with the systemic ills that try to kill us mind, body, and soul. I love you dearly, fam. I love y'all so much. Hey, Amanda, what's good? Oh, what's good? Alan is in the building. Yes, I love you. I affirm today that this love affair that we have will never end. On Tuesdays with Tawana, share this. This is on this will be on various platforms for podcasts. It's on YouTube. So thank you for joining me. Thank you. I miss you too. I love you dearly, Amanda, my forever classmate and friend. And yeah, next Tuesday, we will gather, same time, same place, and I will have some good news about my healing journey. Yeah, so continue to pray for me as I pray for you, and I love you. I'm out. Later, beloveds.